morning, everyone. Cheers. It's good to see you all. Hello, Teresa. Hi, Yvonne. Welcome. Hi, Karen. Thanks for joining in, everybody. I'm going to make a pretty card today. And I have some things in my mailbox. I'm really looking forward to sharing those with you as well. So that will be fun. All right, well, good. We have a good group joining us this morning, so I think I'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the cards that I got in my mailbox. So this is such a cute card because I love kitties. We have kitties at our house. Well, we have one kitty at our house, and his name is S'more. So I got this card from my assistant, Kim, and so she used the beautiful autumn stamp set to use the for the sentiments. So here it is. It's adorable. I love it. So thank you so much, Kim. You're so sweet. Kim's a kitty lover too, so both of us talk about our kitties a lot when we get together. And look at how cute those sequins look on there. Just so perfect. She's a very talented stamper. All right, so then the next card I got in the mail, this one is from one of my watchers. So thank you so much, Kathy Kirchner. She always orders my paper shares, and then she sends me a thank you card for it. So here it is, and it uses the woven heirlooms dies and folders that we can no longer get. I'm not sure what the stamp set is, but I thought it was really well done. So here it is, and Kathy, you were just a sweetheart. You were so kind. So here is what she made for me. Of course, she always decorates the inside too. But isn't it pretty? So nice. And then I got a group card. So this one is from, actually, customers from one of my downline members. So Kathy Trussell is in my downline downline group, and 4 of her customers sent a card to me thanking me for all the work that me and my team have done through the years to put on Spring Fling and Fall Flare, which we're no longer going to do, and they just wanted to send a thank you card for all the work that we did do through the years. So it's pretty blingy. It's really cute. So thank you to Diane Dirks, Sandy Pruden, Gail Monson, and Lisa Thompson for sending me this really nice thank you card. So there it is. Just super. All right. So again, my life is very blessed by your cards, and I just want to remind you that when you put a card in the mail, it blesses someone. It really does. It makes a difference. So if you haven't mailed a card recently, I encourage you to get that address on there, put that stamp on there, just say a few little words on the inside. That's all you have to do, and it really does make someone's day. Okay, so I think that's all I have to do for now. I guess I do want to show you, Stampin' Up! Has a starter kit special. So one of the stamp sets we're using is free if you purchase the starter kit. They're throwing in 2 bonus stamp sets with the starter kit special, which is always a good deal. But now it's an even better deal for the month of September. So this is Queen Anne's Lace. It's a stamp set we're going to use today. And then the other freebie stamp set that you get is called So Much Love. And I haven't opened that one yet. I just received it, so I'm kind of excited to work with it. And the Queen Anne's Lace, I had that on my list of stamps to get. So when I found out that Stampin' Up! Was going to do the Get and Go starter kit, I quickly ordered that because I knew I wanted to work with it anyway. So the card that I'm making today is the card that I'm going to send to new people in my downline group who join during the month of September, because I just think it's so pretty. All right, so let me flip the camera down and we'll get started creating this card. And we're going to be using craft ink, which is kind of fun. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so the color combo that I chose to work with is not one that you would probably just gravitate to automatically. And oh almost sort of looks like a sympathy card, but it really wasn't intended to be that way. I just sometimes like working with black and white and gray. I think those are very pretty colors, especially when you put them all together. So we are using Whisper White, Basic Black, and Basic Gray as the color combination for this card. And honestly, the reason I wanted to go with black is because then I could use the craft white ink. And look at the beautiful contrast. That is what you get when you use craft white ink on black. All right, so let me grab the Stamparatus, because the Stamparatus is pretty important for making this card, because you may want to stamp it a couple of times in order to get the look that you want. Okay, let me figure this out again. Oh, I should have done this before we all got together here. What am I doing? So I know this worked. I think this is gonna work. Yes, this will work. Sorry about that. I created this card a few days ago and all of a sudden I had like a brain freeze and I was like, how do I do this again? Oh my goodness. All right, so we're gonna start with our Stamparatus and with our Whisper White craft ink from Stampin' Up. Let me move this out of the way because I got to tell you a little bit about this ink. This arrives uninked, so you get this pad with no ink in it. So you'll want to make sure, oh my goodness, and now I got ink all over my fingers. And I find that the craft white ink, especially if you don't want to emboss it, which I don't because I don't like embossing all that much. I mean heat embossing, because it's one more thing to pull out of the cupboard and I just don't like, having all those things all over the place. So here it is, you open it up, and every time that I like to use it, I like to add a little more ink. So it comes uninked. You want to be sure that you get the Whisper White craft ink with it. And then just go ahead and add a little bit more craft ink just before you go ahead to do this. Smooth it out. You could take the back of a plastic spoon to smooth it out as well, which is what I often do, except I don't have it with me right now, so I'm not going to do it today. Then get your Stamparatus set up. So the way I have my Stamparatus set up is I have it set up with a 6 by 6 inch piece of paper here. I have that in the corner. I'm using a foam mat that comes with your Stamparatus because that is good if you're using photopolymer stamps, because it kind of lifts that platform up a little bit so you get a better image. Then you're going to want to have your card base ready. Did I even talk about what size this is? I don't know. I don't know if I did. I'm not seeing my measurements on here, and now I can't remember if I mentioned it or not. I maybe just forgot to put the measurements on there, which is weird because I thought I did, but I must have not. How odd. Hold on, I gotta look, because I thought I could have swore I had the measurements, but you guys know what this is. This is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock scored at 4 1/4, and then I'm going to fold it in half at the score line. You know, maybe I didn't, now that I'm thinking about it. Obviously haven't had enough coffee. Or that's the problem. I had tea instead of coffee, and I really do need that. I do need that coffee to get geared up for a Facebook Live. Anyway, it's a half a sheet of paper folded in half again. That's your basic card base. All right, so this looks good. Then you're going to want to put it on your Stamparatus. So I'm going to bring that into the picture. And I have the 6 by 6 piece of purple posy on here to use as my guide, because I'm going to take this, so you open it up like this. This is going to be the inside. You're going to put this on here, and this is like one of the few times you guys will ever see me use 2 magnets. I rarely put them both on the Stamparatus at the same time in order to keep them from flopping together. So what am I doing here? So I have it lined up with that 6 by 6 paper over here in the corner, and then yep, you want your seam to the back because your flower is going to be stamped kind of where the seam is. All right, so that's what it's going to look like once we get going here. Then I'm going to take the Queen Anne's Lace stamp set, because people always point this out to me if I forget to do it. Sometimes I just hold it because I'm lazy. But if you do put a stamp set under this platform, you will get a better inking, because it'll be nice and straight and you won't get ink all over your platform. All right, so I'm just taking that freshly inked craft pad, and I put it over here, and now I just fold it over onto the front of my card, and it's beautiful. It doesn't even really need another inking, so I'm not going to. However, if this did not turn out real great, or if your pad wasn't inked up perfectly, you could re-ink it and stamp it again. So this one turned out perfect. So I'm going to set this aside. We'll go ahead and do the next one. So again, you put the opening of the card, well, it just depends how you have your Stamparatus set up. But the way I have it set up is I have it so that the seam is up here, because when my flower stamps, it's going to stamp more towards the seam. All right, so we're going to do this one more time with this card. I should have messed it up so I could show you how great the Stamparatus is when you do mess up. But it keeps coming out perfect. How about that? It's probably because I just re-inked it. That's really important when you're using craft ink. But if you hadn't inked it up properly, you could re-ink it and get a better, get your image all even. Then you want that to dry about 10-15 minutes before you touch it. So you will be happy to know I have done a couple in advance. Let me put this out of the way for a minute. And I have them right here. So here's one, and here's two. Aren't they pretty? And once they're dry, look, they don't smear. Once they're dry, they're dry. So it's great. And again, it saves yourself a step. You could sprinkle white embossing powder on here and really get a high contrast white image, and heat emboss it. But I didn't want that, because I think this is really pretty. I think when it dries, it sort of looks a little bit slatish, and I like that look. It looks really pretty to me. Okay, so here we go. Now the next thing that you're going to need to make this card is the top piece. So you'll notice there's a basic gray piece right here. So that is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. That's your standard card base over the top. Then I made a template so that because I want to make multiples of these cards, I made a template so that I would know every single time where this is going to cut out. So what I do is I put it on my die cutting machine with this template here, and then I'm using something I haven't shown you yet, but this is the Celebration Labels. It's part of the Celebration Tidings bundle, and we're going to use the second largest one, and we're going to use the smallest one. So get those out. And then what you do is you just ignore the fact that this is embossed. So I made the classic mistake. I embossed it first, and then I thought, oh, I should do a cutout. Then I ran it through the die cutting machine, and of course it takes out all the embossing. So the steps are, make yourself a template of where you want this to be, and then you remove the template, but then you have your pattern and you know exactly where you want it to go. Run it through your die cutting machine first, and then after you've run it through, then you emboss it. So it will look like, it'll look like this. And we're using the Argyle embossing folder today, which is kind of fun. So that debuted in the spring mini catalog, and here we are using it today because it just looks so pretty with the Queen Anne lace. Then I went ahead and I took these little cutout pieces because, of course, they're not embossed initially, but then I ran them through the folder as well and embossed those because we're going to be putting those cutouts on the inside of our card. So these are embossed and these are embossed after it's cut out. All right, then the next step after this is to take the ribbon that just never looks bad, which is our polka dot white ribbon and cut it a little bit bigger than your actual panel. And we're going to do a little tape around on that. So I just put it so that it's right there at the bottom of the die cutout. So let me go ahead and use a little Scotch tape and we'll attach that on both of these cards. Now I am doing a giveaway. So to get in the giveaway, all you have to do is comment, let me know where you're watching from, share this video on your timeline or with some fellow friends or family members or other people who enjoy stamping. And then be sure you've let me know that you've shared. Come back here and let me know. And then you'll be in the drawing. And I'll do the drawing on Tuesday. And what will be the giveaway? It will be some of this fabulous ribbon. I love this ribbon. I use it a lot because it can go through the mail and it'll pop out of the envelope looking just like this. There's just no way to wrinkle it. It's fantastic. All right, so there we have our wraparound. Then I think what we're going to do is we're going to set that aside for a minute because we've got some stamping to do. So remember I told you that we were also going to use this smaller die cut with the Celebration Labels dies. And you are going to want to cut out a couple of those. So I do not see my Stampin' mat handy. Oh, here it is. Whew. I was thinking for a second I didn't have it. So now what you're going to do is we're going to stamp the inside panel. Have I shown you the inside of this card? Here's what the inside looks like. Celebrating all the wonderful things about you. It's fantastic. I'm also going to give this to my downline members who have anniversaries in September. Yes, that's what I'm doing because I took some of these already made up a kit and brought them to one of my assistants so she could make them up for me. So we're going to go ahead and stamp this. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm inking it up with our Tuxedo black ink because that's a good black ink for a photopolymer. And we're just going to stamp that like so. Fabulous. Then we are going to do this little label on the front, as you can see. So what I like to do then is I have another one of those small labels cut. And then I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut it in half because there's a little spot where you can cut it in half. In fact, I want to share something with you. These labels have this little kind of pinched in area right through the middle. That's your guide for where to fold it in half. So just as an example, here's the stamp set that goes with it. You can actually stamp these fun pumpkins or the kind of elegant spider web or the you know, the holly look for Christmas onto half of the label and then fold it over. So I think I have another one of these laying around here. I'll just show you. So here's another one of these little labels. So if you have a little tiny gift in a little tiny package, you can stamp on here, fold it over, and then attach it to a little gift bag. So just a great little idea. I love that. So as soon as I saw these labels in our holiday mini, I knew I had to have them. So as I mentioned, we're going to use a couple of these labels on the front of our cards. So I took one of the labels, cut it in half where that little pinched in area is, and then we're going to stamp Hello Friend. So I've got the stamp. We're going to again use Tuxedo black ink and just go in and stamp that like so. Perfect. Okay, let me put the lid on this ink so that we don't get that ink where we don't want it to be. All right, so now we can go ahead and I'm going to get this out of the way. We could start on the inside panel of our card because if you notice, it's pretty elaborate. So we've got a few layers here. We've got a layer of basic gray, a layer of whisper white. We have the pretty label cutout that we're going to add in here, and then we have the sentiment. So it's got a lot of layers. So I do have the measurements all ready for you. So let me grab those and we'll put together the inside panels. and get a few things off of our desk here. So this is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. This is a basic gray panel, so 2 of them obviously because we're making 2 cards. And then we have our 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 inch panel, and that's going to go on top of our basic gray panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to put the basic gray panels into the card first. So let me grab my Stampin' Seal. I'm really loving the Stampin' Seal. I've been using it a lot more. Of course, I still sometimes have to put my finger on there to get it started, but once I have it started, oh my gosh, I can go for miles. I love it. Now what we're going to do is add this into the inside panel of our cards that we have prepared, and just make sure all 4 borders are nice and even. And we'll do the same thing over here. I always try to do a really good job with these cards because these are the ones I give away. Once in a while, if I mess up, I do take the time to fix them before I mail them out. All right, that looks good. Then we'll go ahead and we are going to add these white panels because we can just go ahead and add those right now too. But I want these a little more loose and flowing, so I'm only going to add the Stampin' Seal at the very top. And we'll add this in. So it looks just like this. Get it right where you want it, and then burnish it down where you have your adhesive. This is a pretty elaborate card, really, but it doesn't take that long to put together once you have all your pieces cut. And then here are those little inside pieces that go with the label. Might as well use everything, right? You can take those items that you think might be wasted, and then they're really not wasted after all. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this right in the center and get it even with the top of that white panel. Perfect. And we'll do the same thing over here. No reason to use Stampin' Dimensionals because this is the inside panel. It'd be tempting to do that though if it was the outside panel. So there we go. We've got our little banner started, and then we're going to take the 2 inside panels here and just add those to the banner. Now I'm going to use a little extra adhesive here because this is all embossed, so we want to make sure that it sticks down really well. So now what I do is there's this little pinched in piece here, and then there's a little pinched in piece on each of these ends. So we're going to just line up those little pinchies. There you go. So there's one, and oh, I got to make sure I get that in there right. There. And here's the second one. And you know what? That just reminds me. Remember I was showing you how you could fold those labels in half like this? Well, you can fold them in half the other way too because they have pinchies on both ends. They have pinchies here and pinchies there, so you just fold the pinchies together. And there you have another way to close up your little treat baggie if you're so inclined to do that. You can look in the holiday catalog and see exactly how Stampin' Up! Did it. It's pretty interesting. All right, so here we go. We have all of this together. Now we're going to take our small Hello Friend labels that we got started with, and we're going to add those to our front panels here. So again, I'm just going to grab the Stampin' Seal, and we're going to add this right here. Now I'm going to go down just a little bit, so I'm going to bring this in and just bring it down a hair. I don't want to way up in my ribbon area. So do the same thing over here. You can trim that even with the scissors and just a little bit here. So put that in. So it's on the right hand side. Then flip it over, take your scissors and just trim even with the edge. Do the same thing with this one. And there we go. Do you guys have big plans for the weekend? We do. I'm all ready for it. Notice I don't have my rings on. That's a clear indication that I've either been golfing or I'm going golfing. We have golf in the plans. I do not wear rings when I golf. I absolutely cannot stand it. I have never been able to wear my rings when I golf. Even in high school, when I was on the golf team in high school, I never wore rings. Not golfing anyway. All right, so let's see. We're gonna go ahead now. You know, what do I want to do right now? Let me think about this a second. You know, maybe I should just go ahead and put my big fluffy bows on. Let me grab my thing here. So what I'm gonna do is I think I want some bows. So I want to make sure that I have enough ribbon to tie a nice fluffy bow. So I'm gonna go 2 times the long way and 1 time the short way to make sure I have enough ribbon. So we'll go ahead and do that. I do all my measurements right on the card base if I can, because then I don't have to fool around with a ruler. I'm sure you guys have noticed that over the years. And we need extra when you're working with this because it's kind of hard to work with unless you have plenty of it. So we're going to put this on. And of course we trim all those little edges so they look good. But we're just going to tie a bow. So just get that on there and tie a bow. And again, you need quite a bit to work with because it is a little awkward for bow tying because all those little dots want to sort of get caught up in your little bow area. So there we go. That's a nice big fluffy bow. Looks pretty fun. So then we're going to go ahead and trim that edge. See, that's all the ribbon I had left on that side. You just never know. And then on this side, I could have made those bows a little smaller, I guess, but I kind of like the big fluffy look. And like I said, no matter how you mail these, those bows come out looking fantastic. So let's go ahead and do this one now. So anyway, I think we might even go golfing 3 times this weekend. It's supposed to be just beautiful weather, so I'm pretty excited. All right, here we go. As I mentioned, they can be a little fussy, but once you get them on, they look great. Okay, so let me trim off the edge for this one. And there we go. See, not too much left, really. Okay, big, pretty, fluffy bows. Now what we're going to do is put these onto the front of our card. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal again. And I'm going to use quite a bit of it because we want this to be very secure. We're not doing dimensionals, so we have to use quite a bit of Stampin' Seal. So there's one all sealed up. Here's another. Almost another. There we go. It's looking good, you guys. Okay, here we go. Let's grab our card front. And, oh, I wish I could put my head directly over the top, but I can't. So I am going to look in this corner and that corner up there. All right, that looks good. Then once you have it where you want it, just burnish it down. And look at how beautiful that is. All right, let's do the next one. See, aren't these just elegant colors? I love it. And of course, you could change out the sentiments. And if you really do think it looks like a sympathy card, go ahead and send it as a sympathy card with different sentiments. Okay, that looks pretty good. Hold on, I just have to wiggle that in a little bit more. Oh no, hold on. It's not lining up the way I want it to. So I'm gonna bring it out of the picture for a second so I can actually see what I'm doing. I can't get my head right over the top of it with the camera in the way. There we go. Okay, then we can burnish it down. Look at that, isn't it gorgeous? Oh, I love this card. I hope you guys do too. It's just beautiful. So anyway, I should mention again, the Get and Go Starter Kit with Stampin' Up! Means that you get two free stamp sets with that starter kit, and you also get 16 card kits. 16, I can't talk today. 16 card setups. 8 setups to go with this and 8 setups to go with that, and Stampin' Up! Will give you ideas of how you can put them together. So it's good for 2 kinds of stampers. It's good for stampers who are enthusiastic about stamping and want a good discount on their products, and boom, they've got a bunch of cards they can put together with 2 extra stamp sets. Or it's also good for those of you that have been thinking about joining Stampin' Up! And maybe doing it, you know, kind of like I do, where you're sharing a lot with people. You've got your card setups to go ahead and start sharing with people. So here we go. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a really fun and safe Labor Day weekend. Go golfing if that's in your plans, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday. Talk to you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.